Okay, the next step in drawing your still life, if you're following your instruction sheet, number 1 is outlining the table line. So to do this, I like to measure my grid. So I'm actually going to measure from this baseline, which would be 0.5, up to the table line. Now the table actually is higher on the right side. So I'm going to have to measure this side, draw a mark, and then meet those 2 points. So using my ruler, you can actually use your lead pencil and make a light mark on your ruler. Wooden rulers are really good for that. So I know my right hand side is the higher point. So I've got those points on my ruler, making sure I'm putting 0 on this baseline, number 5. So that's my mark there. And that's my high point here. Now you might have noticed that my grid lines are really dark. Yours will hopefully be much lighter than this. I've just done mine dark so that you can see it on the video. So with these 2 points, I'm going to use my ruler to connect those up. So that should give me the table line. So that's where my table is. The next step is to outline each of the objects on the table. So we're going to start with this one. Now when I'm looking at this shape, I'm actually going to look and refer to the points of where it's touching the line. So I can see this object touches the line here, it touches the line here, 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 and here. So those are good reference points, and we're actually going to use our ruler. We'll use our ruler to measure it. So I can see that from the A line, that point on number 3 is 2 millimeters. So here's my A line, line number 3, 2 millimeters. So I measure that mark. The next one on the other side, on the same 3 line, this mark point is about 1, 2, 3.5 millimeters from column B. So I've got my column B and I'm measuring 3.5 millimeters from this point. 1, 2, 3.5. So I've got those 2 points to get the width of my object. Now I want the height. So I can see the object hits line A here. So I'm going to measure it from 3A up. So that comes to 7 millimeters. So that's my point there. 5, 6, 7. So there's my point here. This mark here is on line B. So again, that is 8 millimeters. Okay, now I want to measure these points here. So this one here and this one here where the object hits the line. So I'm going to measure from 4 up. So that object hits A line at about 8.5 millimeters. So it's about there. And then here on the B line, it hits at about 9 millimeters. Okay. Now we're going to freehand the shape in, now that we've got those points. So I'm going to look at this line here, and because this object is actually a cylinder shape, so it's a circle, we have to make this line slightly curved. So draw as you're comfortable. You might need to turn the page around to get that curved line. So you want to join these two marks up and get a slight curved line. And then we're going to do the same with this line here. So you can see that's a curved line as well, so it's got a slight curve to it. But before we do that, we actually have to get this point here, because that's where the curve starts, and this point here. So I'm going to estimate using my eyes and where the grid is. So I think that point's about there, and this point is about here. So connecting those 2 points up with a slightly curved line. Okay, so you can probably notice that this object comes out a little bit. So again, using our eyes, you can freehand that vertical line. And then here, you can see that's about 2 mils off this main line here. So I'm going to freehand that line in as well. So you can see how we're slowly building the shape up. Now I'm going to draw this little rim here. So you can draw lighter than what I am. I'm just drawing dark so that you can pick this up on the pen. So we've got this point here. We're actually going to be looking at the shape that this is making here. So trying to replicate that shape there. So it's got a bit of a curve. And here, it's got a bit of a curve as well. So from there, always referring back to your grid to try and get your proportion for this object correct. Remembering to use your ruler when you're unsure of how long or high the object is. So there's a little handle here. I'll use my ruler to measure that. If you actually line up your drawing directly with your picture, then you can use your ruler and actually measure it straight along. So I can get the height of this ruler straight this handle straight away. So, as you can see here, we've got the first shape. When you're drawing, it's good practice to stand back and have a look at the proportion of your shapes every now and then, because if you look at your page too often, for too long, you start to lose track of the object, so make sure you do that. So when you're drawing in the rest of the objects, the same basic principles, using your ruler to measure where it is on this grid and then drawing it on here. The more you measure with your grid, the more precise you'll get with your proportion. So I'm just going to draw the rest now.